Now, for example, once I put my numbers in, I'm going to put 21 plus 20. And once we press the add. In this video, I will be showing you a simple way on how to add two numbers in Android Studio. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is head over to activity main first, which is right here. And we are going to call out what we need so we can be situated. So first we need two edit text views, one normal text view, and one button. So let's get started. I'm going to head over to display, and I do this because I feel like it's easier to just drag and drop the elements instead of just coding them in the text. But for edit text, I will code it in. So we're going to need one text view. We're going to leave it right here. The reason this is here is because it will display the sum of the two numbers. So we're just going to put it right here. And since we are in constraint layout, do not forget to constraint. And we're going to add another button. And I'm just going to leave it right here. I'm going to connect it to the bottom of this right here. I'm just going to bring it up. Now we're going to head back to split so we can code the edit text views. So we're going to do an opening tag. We're just going to type edit text. And you're just going to press enter. I'm going to put wrap content because that's how I feel like it should be. But you can do whatever you want. Give it any size measures that you want. The next thing I'm going to do is work on the text size. So I'm just going to type text size. And I'm going to make it about 25 SP. I think that would be nice. So now looking at it, instead I'm going to change the height and the width. So I'll make it 40 dp. And I'll make the height 40 dp. I'm going to move this over here. It doesn't really look that big, so I'm just going to move it like this. This should be fine. And I'm going to give it the constraint so it can be right here. I'm just going to move it right here. So this is going to be the first edit text that we put. And I'm also going to add a hint so the user knows what to do. So I'm going to put number right here. And make this number capital. Right there. And we are getting an error because we don't have the closing tag for it. So I'll just add it like this. And just boom. So we're gonna copy this and do the same thing. Just gonna copy this like that. And we're gonna have another edit text. Oh, I did it the wrong way. Let me just. Okay, opening tag. And we type edit text. And we just paste our code in there, just like this. You just gotta move it out the way and put it right here. And for our button, we're just gonna put add. So the user knows that once he pressed, oh, I'm on text view. While I'm on text view, I'll just put answer. And on button, we just put the text to add. So the user knows what he's doing. So now that we finished the interface and did all the steps, we're going to head over to the main activity.java and put up the logic. Let's go over there right now. Now we did make two edit texts and one button and one text view. So now what we're going to have to do is initialize them. So I'm going to type edit text. And I'm going to put ed1 and I'm going to put ed2. ed1, ed2. Since we did create two edit text boxes. Oh yes, one thing I forgot. Since these are edit text boxes and we only want numbers on them, what we're gonna do is put input type number, just like that. Input type number. So this only makes the user only able to put numbers. While we're here again, let's change the text size of text view so it can be bigger so the reader can see. And let's put it to 40 dp. This should be good. And let me just make this wider. Alright, now let's head back to main activity.java and initialize. So now we're going to initialize the text view. I'm just going to name it equals. You can name it whatever you want, whatever is easier for you. And for button, I'm just going to name it button. Now we're going to head over back to activity main and give them an ID. Now the ID that I'm going to give for this edit text will just be ID ed1. Should be, one second, ed1 should be like this. Now for the other edit text, which is right here, I'm gonna put ID ed2. Should be just like this. You can put any ID you want. Remember, you do not have to do exactly what I do, but whatever is easier for you. And for add, we're just gonna take the button 2 away from it and just put button. And for this text view, oh yes, for this text view, I'll just leave it as text view. Now let's head over back. Now we're gonna initialize the widgets to their IDs. So for ed1, we'll put ed1 equals find v by id r.id dot ed1, and then with a semicolon. Now for ed2 equals find v by id r.id dot ed2. Boom. Now for the text view, equals find view by id r.id dot text view. Now for the last but not least, our button equals find view by id r.id dot button. Now that we got that out of the way, we're gonna set an on-click listener for button. So once we press the add button, Android Studios will add the two numbers, and it will give us our answer. So we're gonna set an on-click listener. We're gonna do button dot set on-click listener. We're gonna do new view the on-click dot listener, and inside of this, also once the button is being pressed, Android Studio is gonna grab the numbers that the users put in edit text and then convert them into integers so we can add them, and then it will tell TextView to put up the results, or you can say the sum of the numbers. So we're gonna create variables to be able to store what the user puts in edit text. So we're gonna do string, and I'll just put num1 equals ed1 dot get text. Remember, is getting the text that the user puts inside the first, let me go back to it, inside the first edit text that we put, dot toString semicolon. Now it is holding inside num1 the number that the user put in the first edit text. Now we're going to start for the second edit text. We're going to put in string num2 equals ed2 dot get text dot toString semicolon. Remember, this string is holding what the user puts in the second edit text right here. Now we're gonna parse it into an integer. We're gonna convert the string into an integer, and we do this by doing integer, and we convert it to an integer so they can be able to add, because you cannot add a string. Android Studio will say it's an error, so we have to convert it into an integer. You can convert this to a double or a float if you want to, but to make this beginner friendly, we will do integers. So we can do integer dot parse int num1. Now because of this, num1 is not a string no more, it is an integer. Now let's do this for the second one. Integer dot parse int num2. Now once the strings will be turned into integers, let's give them an int variable. Now we're gonna come up here to the front of integer, and we're gonna put int whatever you want to do. I'm just gonna put num double m1 equals this. We're going to do the same thing for the second one. You might be confused, MaskedProgrammer, why are we doing it like this? The first step was to show you what we're going to do. What basically Android Studio is doing. The integer.parseInt will turn the string into a number. Now we're going to put this into an integer variable since it is now an integer. Now we're going to do the same thing for the other one. num2 equals integer.parse.int. So now that we have finished with the integer and everything else, the last part of this tutorial is to do the text view. This is going to show the results of the number once the user press add, or you can say the sum. So let's get started. It's a very simple process. Now we're gonna do int results, and we're gonna do equals num1 plus num2 in a semicolon. And now we're gonna call up our text view. We called it equals, so I'm gonna put equals dot set text, and I'm going to put answer is, put it like this, and I'm going to get outside the quotations and put a plus, and I'm going to put results, just like this. Now I'm going to start up the emulator so we can check out our app. Now that I'm back on the emulator, as you can see, the same way we did it in Android Studio is the same way it came out on the emulator. Now, for example, once I put my numbers in, I'm going to put 21 plus 20. And once we press the add button, you can see that it says answer is 41. Congratulations, we did it. If you enjoyed this tutorial, I recommend that you go on my channel and check out my other tutorials. MaskedProgrammer out.